Hello and welcome to the Tenax Series 4 Grand Finals. After 5 weeks of competition, 2 days of playoffs, we are here with our final matchup of Tenax Series 4. My name is Zero, of course, joined by the lovely Ancient Angel. Wrong side. How are you doing today, Ancient Angel? I feel like I'm just excited to get into this cast, get into it with you. It's going to be a banger matchup.
I feel like saying it's a banger matchup is a bit of an understatement. I
Yeah.
think this is what a lot of people were expecting to be two of the heavy hitters, two of the favorites throughout this entire series. And the fact that we get to see them here in the grand finals, it's of course that 1 seed and that 2 seed out of the first group. It's Tenax themselves, the namesake of the tournament, against Cokes' retirement home. And oh boy, it's a full best of 5. We've got hours into hours of Valorant upcoming. And Zero, let's kind of talk about the playoff bracket so far, right? Because you were here yesterday breaking down all the action as it was happening. So, we can kind of talk about this bracket and how it's played out and how we got to this point.
Yeah, for sure. So we got to watch a little bit of Cokes' retirement home against that Legacy Rose matchup. And honestly, it was just domination, right? Through and through. A little bit of shakiness back and forth. But once it got to that attack half, Cokes' retirement home really just ran through. And for the other side, I mean, Empire GC had a really good showing. It was really back and forth, but we got to watch 10x GC as well play up against Empire. And honestly, 10x GC are showing why they are undefeated at this point in the tournament. They haven't lost a singular map, Angel. So they have been coming out improving their dominance. But on the other side, Cokes' retirement home also ended up beating out Nightshade X Hyperspeed, which was the top seed coming in from that Group B. And that was in a 3-map series as well, going the distance, but they closed it out on split 13-3, which isn't really something that we've seen from them outside of yesterday. It was the first time they played it the entire 10X series. But now we're here in the grand finals, and I feel like this could literally go any other way because I don't know. This is the 2 best teams that we have here in 10X series.
I mean, it's been determined that way, right? That's the point of the playoff bracket. We've gotten to this point in this best of 5. And, we're talking about the fact that it's a best of 5. One of the reasons I'm so excited is because we get to see a bunch more maps than we'll normally see in those best of 3. So as we go through this, the thing that I'm most excited about is that Lotus was banned out. So for the first time all season, it feels like Lotus will not be in this series. Instead, we're going to be starting things off on Cokes' retirement home's pick of Ascent. After that, we move over to Haven. Then it's Split. And then if we need it, it will be Sunset and Pearl waiting in the rafters. Zero, how do we feel about this map pool compared to a lot of the stuff that we've been seeing throughout the season?
Honestly, I'm really excited to see it. We've talked about it so many times at this point, but Lotus is just such like a standard map in this series. But here, Cokes' retirement banned it out, even though they looked pretty good on it last Thursday. But with how dominant that 10x is looking, I can't really blame them. And then to start off on Ascent and then go to Haven, honestly, I'm looking at 10x to really start off strong here. And if Cokes' retirement home wants to take this home, I think it'll probably be in those later maps 4, 5, where they end up closing it out. Because so far, Cokes' retirement home has looked good. But like we said, so far 10x is undefeated here, Ancient Angel. And I don't know. I think, 10x is 5-0. Cokes' retirement home started off a bit shaky in the season. They were initially signed as 10x, right? They were that 10x GC squad. They ended up getting dropped after week 2. They lost 2 matches in a row, and then they were kind of TBA for a little bit. And ever since then, they've re-picked up, had a little bit of a resurgence. But meanwhile, 10x has stayed strong through and through the entire split.
So now the question comes in, do you think that because of the kind of whole 10x, I'm going to call them X10x drama, you think that gives them like a little bit of like a more scrappy sort of underdog type of something to prove mentality coming into this
Yeah.
game?
I think both of these teams honestly kind of have that. I think for Tenax, the current Tenax roster, it's kind of like, okay, we need to prove why we were picked up in place of you. But for the other side, for Cook's retirement home, you get dropped, you are 0-2, you come back, have this resurgence, and yeah, you are the underdogs. You're coming back to try to prove yourself, prove that the mistake was made, that they should have been sticking with this squad. And honestly, I think as well, you have to look at history. Cokes is the only returning player here who has won a Tenax series in the past, winning 1 and 2 way back when with Sad Frost. Everyone else, new faces to the scene. So we will at least have 4, if not 5, brand new champions of the Tenax series. And, you know, I don't know. I think this could be anyone's game, but the pressure is on for sure for Tenax.
And now that we've discussed pressure, we've discussed maps, it's time to kind of hone in our attention on this first map. This is Coke's Retirement Home's pick of Ascent coming into things here. And Ascent has kind of found itself, in my opinion, a weird spot in the meta, right? Where it used to be the map that everyone knew you play the same 5 agents on, you get their mirror match, and then comps started getting experimented with, right? That's when you saw like that Turtle Troop comp, right? The double Sentinel with the deadlock. You saw that when Tejo meta existed, right? There were some more comps being experimented with, like we would see Vise get used. When we talk about Ascent right now, do we feel like it's still that same stale map that it once was? Or have we started to see the evolution?
I think it is, yes, but also I think we have seen a little bit of an evolution, right? There is a lot of options to go for. I mean, like you mentioned, the double Sentinel composition is very popular. We've even seen some teams run the double duelist. We were just seeing Fnatic run the Chamber Vice, Wadada as well, kind of coming out first with this map, with that composition. So there's a lot of directions you can go. But I'm interested to see, because both of these teams have kind of been going a little off meta. Picks go very puggy, very double duelist style. But let's end up looking at what comps we're going to be headed to as we hop into Agent Select here, Angel, because honestly, I'm excited to see what type of looks we were watching yesterday. Eli on the side of Tenax, pretty much exclusively playing that Clove, this double controller comp. It really leans into that, but okay, it'll actually be a little bit of a switch up here. So Tenax going with just the basic standard composition. Meanwhile, it is that Turtle Troop comp, but instead it's that Yoru coming in for the Jet.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I really like the CRH comp. I love that we're gonna be able to see Ivory on the Yoru. I think they would end up playing a bit better on this Yoru anyways, because typically Jet isn't really an agent that you think of when you'd think of Ivory's kit and how Ivory is best used. I think keeping Cokes on their comfort agent of the Cypher makes absolute sense, and Colby is going to drop 40 on whatever agent they want, so.
Yeah, truly. And getting off onto this pistol, the attack side for Cokes' retirement home, I am going to be looking at both of the Sentinels, Cokes and Colby, to really have a strong game. Eli for the other side as well. The star players for this team, and Ivory going walkabouts down mid early. Just try to get anything, see if there's anything in market, but just doesn't check the back, so it gets taken down by Vanitas and instantly set into a 4v5.
Yeah, and that's going to be a very awkward position after this attack, right? You don't have those flashes from Ivory to really start to engage any sort of attack, so you have to just hope that the utility you'll get from May and just the pure headshot power you'll have will be enough. Info goes in through a tree, and yeah, like you mentioned, rotates. They will be strong, but that pick onto Soggy Seal from Colby, it's going to start to draw some attention back towards mid.
Still, the bomb, it's going to be going over towards this A site. Still 2 players to receive this.
Blinding.
Sensor being destroyed just yet. Instead, Colby jumps across to the site as the full 4-on-4 post plant will begin. Utility out and about, but so is Eli, who's dropped from heaven already, and in the blink of an eye, Stardust, Eli, and a little help from Vanitas just completely mopped up that pistol round retake.
And they were so on top of the game plan. They just read it perfectly, but it was off the back of pushing up over towards B main early in that round, setting up Soggy Seal and feeding that information to the rest of their team to enable those rotates and just stack over towards that A site, collapse on anything going on. And the pistol round gained for the defense side of Tenax GG. And Soggy Seal already buying an Outlaw. If you had watched any of the games of Cokes' retirement home, you know how much they like to go for some of these 4 spies, buy a couple like stingers, but here just some sheriffs and a ghost. And so we'll try to make good work of that sniper rifle. But Cokes
is already crossed here, and so they could potentially take that fight, but Vanitas is going to start to get active first. That's the opening kill going their way, but with Colby and finding that timing, completely rip open the B site. And that's that plant. Almost guaranteed at this point as the 3v2 is starting to take place. They do need to wait for May to pick up that spike, but as those weapons have been given over, Cokes just gets to sit and wait with that Outlaw. This is a post-play
Dexter
guarantee.
Morgan. Yeah, Dexter Morgan also only has that light armor.
Right here.
So will be one shot to that Outlaw.
Scanning ahead.
This is getting very dicey. We've seen so many thrifty rounds on the anti-eco. Round number 2 in the last 2 days. It would be a tragedy to start off this series.
Best here to try and hold on to this round, and with those 2 kills from Dexter, it makes things possible. But now Rover, 1v1, Guardian v Guardian, who can headshot first? That's the initial tap, looking for the swing, and Rover's good for it. You asked for a thrifty, it goes their way. It's Cokes' retirement home to tie us up at 1-1.
Right here.
And the IGL coming in huge in the 1v2 moment to push it through and instantly flip the tides. And so Tenax, they just lose control of the... I'm not sure exactly how Cokes was able to pick up that kill onto Soggy Seal, but just beautiful sheriff shots. And we've seen that time and time again, right? Just able to pick up a couple sheriffs and have so much danger into it. Just have so much pressure just with such a simple weapon. But it does the job. And so into this one, it's a fast play to try to take into mid 2 and set up for some sort of B hit. Deadlock wall goes through to delay and corner in. I think Eli might have beat the timing. So it's just not able to do it much, but trades are going out. Coke's able to take down Stardust. Soggy Seal to trade back, and somehow it's another thrifty round. Soggy Seal closing it out onto May, and off the back of Eli finding the timing through the wall, they get the job done. And so it's a back and forth to start off this best of 5. And both of these teams are...
And that's the key, right? Is the fact that it's this back and forth. You can't let CRH get this big advantage off the back of that thrifty, right? You have to even things up. Make things, you know, a little bit more troublesome for them, especially coming into round 4.
Yeah, so just to start off the slow default, the smoke towards Cat, and a little bit of pressure over towards A main, but this drone's going to spot out how pushed up Soggy Seal is. Push them off that angle. There might be a re-flash to fight this. It's patient. With the insert into wine, Vanitas is in a great position. And now, with Colby grouping up over towards this A side, it looks like this will be the final destination. Only one away from that annihilation.
Vanitas is tucked in here during wine, so as this fight takes place, Vanitas will swing out, find all three in a main, and now poor Cokes alone, 1v4, Sheriff in hand, and some sharp shots placed onto the head of Dexter.
30 seconds left.
Still more needs to be found. And that just won't happen.
That's a clean round for the defense side. Tenax starting off strong here, and so with that round, they'll potentially eye up an operator to get in the hands of Sage Seal. Not gonna go for it quite yet.
Here.
But this double sentinel composition, right? You're lacking a little bit of the flashes from the KO. You don't have the jet, so it's all wrapped into Ivory. A lot of pressure put onto them, and a lot of pressure is going to be put on all of these players as this shark play comes in towards tiles.
Scanning ahead. Decoy.
Immediately, that flash play takes place. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, so shut down, but still aggression on all fronts, and CRH just want to play patient. They want to play slow. They don't want to make anything go super fast, so they throw that grab net. A little bit of a team crouch, and that is a blunder.
Yeah, that's gonna sting, especially when you yet again lose Ivory in the earlier stages of this round. You have to try and now frag back the hard way, battle back into it. Thankfully, that A site will be open. As long as you can avoid getting sniped off by Vanitas here, which you do, thank you, May. All of a sudden, this round becomes very, very doable. Kobe sits in A, so that swing, trade, and a 1v4. Stardust. It might be Save City.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't hate to see them try to do some damage, but not wanting to give any ultimate orbs away, try to build up that economy as much as possible. And so finally, a response from the attack side, and honestly, we got to see a little bit of a glimpse of the strengths of this Deadlock Cypher composition, right? It's once you get into the post plant that it really starts to thrive on this attack side. You have the deadlock wall, you have those sound sensors to stun towards hell, to pressure anyone trying to fall in and flood back into the site. But so far, outside of this round, the struggle has been actually getting onto the site, and especially with Ivory going down so early. He's currently sat 1 and 5. This has been on the back of a lot of these other players, and Ivory has been a player that we've talked about a little bit here on the broadcast, has been that player to kind of selflessly send them in, been the sacrificial lamb for Colby to really come forward and have a lot of the other players try to find those moments, find those big kills. But yesterday we finally got to see them really have their own moment, especially on that Raze map of Split. But here, not quite finding that same success. Still plenty of time to try for it.
Ooh, opening main engagement to no avail.
All of this is going on, Angel, but look where Spike is. It's still in its resting position towards...
Yeah, it's in the attacker spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they even realize?
Surely.
I think Rover finally going back.
Maybe they play around from the shadows?
I suppose, but that's a little silly of a use of the ultimate, so very slow start path for both of these teams, but increasing the tempo just a little bit. There goes that from the shadows to grab the spike. A wasted ultimate, and there's no smoke because of such. And so Rover finally able to trade back, but the fight through heaven, the flash through from Vanitas, and able to pick up 2. So now Spike has to go down. 15 seconds left on the clock. Rover left to clutch it once again. The IGL needs to have the birthday buff come in. The Hunter's Fury as well. Only 70 HP to play with, so many angles to watch. Knows the positioning of Stardust. Eli connects the shot and takes down Rover, denying the clutch once again. So a 4th round on the board, and steady wins for the Sentinel. And so that round was a little interesting, I gotta say. It felt a bit disconnected. I mean, to start off, you have to use the ultimate to grab the spike. You just don't really grab it at any point. You have a minute 40 and you don't go back for it. So just maybe not sure in the communication, not really having those fluid comms quite yet. So there's still a lot of Valorant to be played throughout the day. It's a best of 5, might I remind you, but those types of mistakes need to be fixed up, need to be cleaned up, especially when Eli is just going walkabouts and Cokes gets taken down.
It's a huge opener to find, and there's still more to come. Soggy Seal sits in a main, but that's a huge spray down between Colby and May. And now it's that 5 versus 2.
Enemy remaining.
Oh, how much can you
Spike
find?
down,
Rover,
mid.
it's over, and Ivory is gone as well. Tenax GC, they're just having a flawlessly fun time on the defense.
Yeah, and so now they're forced onto a Nico. Coach calls a timeout for CRH, and I like this timing because, like I said, it's felt a little disconnected, to be honest. I mean, truly this entire half, right? They won that clutch off the back of Rover in round number 2, securing that anti-eco, but then instantly lost right after that, and they haven't really found a stable ground to stand on since then. It's been disconnected, trying to go for some of these defaults, but it just doesn't look all the way fleshed out, and now they have some big ultimates to come into this next round with if they choose to use them. But on the other side, you have that lockdown for Eli, the null command for Vanitas, and this is the defense side of Ascent for Tenax. Like, this is the favored side. Sure, you want to be getting as many as possible, but already getting 5 and then still having this many ultimates to boot, it's scary looking down the barrel for CRH.
Yeah, and it's this kind of impressive string of rounds. Also, when you consider the fact that while they did win the pistol, they lost the round after, right? So they've been able to get this kind of strictly off the back of their gunplay and their rifle rounds, and not off of economic dominance.
Yeah, and the slow play just has not been working out so far. They've not really been able to get on site as a group. So I was talking about the win condition for the attack side, but Ivory with that Sheriff able to take the first blood on the Soggy Seal.
12 with 1 means that things start to get a little bit
One
favored,
enemy
and that 3K that comes out from Vanitas is enough to let Dexter kind of force that play throughout the smoke.
So round number 9 here. This is what the timeout was for. The adjustments should through here. Maybe some sort of set play from the coach to get them back on the board. The real game plan adjustment. And I wouldn't hate to see them just rip this Yo roll and try to have some sort of ult play alongside the Hunter's Fury or that Annihilation. They need to switch up the pace. They need to try to go for something. But Soggy Seal finally decides to bring out the Operator. A factor that has not yet been considered. Shot goes wide. Get out of dodge, but it's lit up. So now, the Annihilation goes just completely wide, and Vanitas and Morgan are just absolutely frying. Finally, Ivory able to stabilize just a little bit. With the knives in the hand, they can't connect the shot, so now it's all left on to Morgan. Gonna make the teleport play over towards the B site, but is this noted? Is this made aware of? But it's canceled at the last moment.
Yeah. Exactly, and so it's going to be that 2v1 post plant. Morgan's going to have to try and get this from Market. Cokes and Ivory in the post plant here.
Still has paranoia. Ivory with the blind side and that gate crash. Surely you're not going to be taking this one.
Position noted by the camera. Does eventually decide to reposition around towards lane. Uses the smoke and does dink Cokes through the wall, but no kill. And now that they've both swung out, they're both ready to take the fight. Ivory will confirm it. A 3K out from this Yoru to bring Cokes' retirement home up to 3.
A bit messy there. There's just a big brawl towards middle. But it gets the job done, and it gets another round on the board. So slowly starting to whittle away at that round deficit. And still with those 2 big ultimates in tow, right? The Dimensional Drift, the Hunter's Fury, they can continue on trying to make work of this, but Soggy Seal still has the credits to invest into another operator, this time going over towards Cat. How ready are they for this? Smoke goes up, so won't be able to do anything quite yet, unless they go for a peek through the smoke. Sides against it. And this is very similar to what we were seeing early on in the half, right? Trying to default towards middle, try to bait out some of this utility, draw these rotates before they go back over towards A for some sort of split play. But Ivory's been punished time and time again in this position, and it's taken down.
Immediately. Whoa! Another kill. Follow-up from Soggy Seal to decimate Cokes' retirement home in round 10. Now just May and Cokes left, and with Morgan ever so sturdy on the site, it just feels like a wash. Tenax GC up to 7 rounds.
And I don't know, I hate to say it, but this half genuinely feels so flat coming out from CRH. It just feels like, I know it's the attack side, you have this double Sentinel comp, but it just does as if there's any like connected ideas. They're just kind of going for, okay, yeah, let's try to go for a default, guys. Let's work mid, and then let's see what happens. But they just have no response off of this aggression, continually getting punished by the aggression towards middle off of Vanitas. This time, Soggy Steel getting posted up with that dart, and Cokes not want to get punished once again. So has to back up, give up that space, but meanwhile, over towards Market, once again, it's an aggro play.
Vanitas has to dodge the flames, the lasers about. Cokes and Colby combined for 2.
And so, left into a 2v3, they'll be able to get this spike down, but Angel, I'm not sure if they're aware of the positioning of Sexter Morgan over towards A main. They don't have the weapons to really fight for this. They feel like they have to make a play. They have to go aggressive here.
Initiated. Last player standing.
Tries to push. They know they have to try and take care of this lockdown, and they do get that, but they can't find the other 2 remaining kills. Tenax GC, they found their way all the way to 8. They have potential of a 9-3 half here.
And that would be a devastating way to start off this best of 5. But honestly, maybe it's for the best. Get out those nerves early. Shake off the pressure. Shake off any maybe unwanted feelings of nervousness. Something like that. You get it out of the way early. It's not going to come back to bite you. You can just afterwards just be like, okay, yeah, that's as bad as it can get. We can come into these next maps just not having to worry about anything at all. But still, Ivory 5 and 10. The Dimensional Drift still online, still not been used so far. It's been off of the early punish just so often, going down early. But eyeing up the A site for one of the first times, and hopefully we can see a bit stronger of a site hold. So there goes the ultimate. This will clear out all of sight. They can get spiked down, get set up in a clean post plant with the utility from the deadlock. They might finally be in a favorable position, but that is not the way they wanted it to go.
No, they still need to get this spike down. I mean, that opening pick is perfect, but you need just a little bit more time to get things together. May only 45 HP. Spike has finally started to plant. Take away here. Look to play off of this. Paranoia goes out, as well as the pop flash. Ivory can open things up with one onto Stardust. So even though Cokes falls in the meantime, that's just enough of an opportunity for them to really get going, as Rover can close out this half with a 3K and give Cokes' retirement home a bit of hope in half number 2.
Act on my intel. Don't give them time to reposition.
It finally came through in round number 12. Just the exec onto the A site, and the util, the delay is just so hard to actually get through with this default composition. You don't have a lot of utility, no Yoru to teleport past those sound sensors. So honestly, the attack side of the double sentinel comp, you will take this 4 to 8 half, but it's not over yet. This attack side, we know how aggressive this Tenax GC squad can get, especially when Vanitas is going 14-7 on the KO, and Soggy Seal, Eli, the two main players that were showing up yesterday, really haven't even started to come online quite yet.
Immediately, it's Tenax going insanely fast towards this A site, and Eli gets 2 onto Rover and Colby in mid.
Coming back.
Just absolutely isolates those fights and dominates. Thankfully, May will be able to get the trade, but still 3v2. That's where we sit in the post. Both the remaining retirement home players are in towards tree, and Cokes and May have had to play such an important duo throughout this first half, and they need to pick things up here in the second as well and try and grab that pistol.
One enemy remaining.
They go, and of course Morgan is there, picking up those last 2 and bringing Tenax to that 9.
Take back what is mine.
So once again, taking the pistol rounds pretty cleanly there. So this attack side will start off this half pretty strong, and once again, we see a pretty standard buy, just a couple stingers, guardians. On the other side, though, it's Ivory and Colby with those 2 sheriffs. And we know how strong it can be, but honestly, at this point, I feel like you're just trying to do as much damage as you can, try to build up to some of those more impactful ultimates, not feed towards the likes of Eli.
My eyes are down.
Because if Eli can start getting online early, start trying to feel themselves as they did yesterday, it could get really dangerous really quickly. And Cokes, just with the right click, it's not enough damage to take down Soggy Seal, so
Spike planted.
Eventually we'll get that market door open, but Morgan still is cleaning up with that stinger. Now only 2 more players to find. May the first takes that peek in. The Ghost does the bulk of the damage with the fragment grenade from Vanitas to do the rest. And Colby finds nothing. And, you know, as Tenax have reached double digits here off of a flawless anti-eco, I gotta mention it. Colby, a player who we shouted out throughout the group stage, throughout the playoffs, for being such a key piece, very, very quiet right now.
yeah, and we've seen them play the deadlock in the past, right? But the times we have seen them have their best performance is on those more aggressive roles, right? The Yoru, the Chamber specifically. I mean, they were playing it, I believe, on Split yesterday, and they were just kind of going crazy. And getting the Operator into their hands is such a huge win condition for this team to set up, play slow, and allow this just team in general to play around that singular win con, but not having the opportunity to play into it yet. The first full rifle rounds here, May set up, Paranoia in hands, and that's lit all 3 players up.
With that opener, Colby can finally combine, start to get a little bit of impact here in this game. We get traded out, but at least an opportunity, and as Ivory swings out, gets cleared by Eli. This A site still hasn't been fully planted on, so May still has the opportunity to be an anchor. Rover as well, holding in towards tree, preventing any sort of super aggro plays.
I think,
And with
Sagi's
40
too.
seconds left, Tenax
was gonna
has
say-
to make some sort of a power move.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe worried about someone holding the cross, but the spike finally just
30
now
seconds
getting
left.
gained, but that shock dart did so much damage, Angel. Eli just on a sliver of health, and it's gonna be the pivot towards the B side, but 20 seconds left. They have to get a move on. There's still Cypher util in the way, and Cokes is rotating currently.
Careful now.
One enemy
It
remaining.
gets triggered. The Odin
Spike
from
down
Rover
mid.
will do the down
10
blow.
seconds left.
And now with 10 seconds left,
I got the
the
spike.
soggiest of seals shall end in silence as there is just no time to plant. When the clock has ticked away, May can get that kill. Cokes' retirement home. They found their way to a 5th.
And it felt like a bit of an overcook there. Side, they had their chance, they had their opportunity, but they kind of just wasted away towards short, not really making a decision. You can see the ping on where the spike was sitting that whole time. And both of these teams feel like they have their moments, but there's been communication issues on both of these attack sides. We need to see more from Tenax GC if they want to close this out.
Shadows traveling.
Because while it is a 5-round deficit, this double Senti comp can be really hard to get through once it gets going, once it gets online. They have the right setups, if they have the right adjustments. And once again, it's a double play towards A main, one stuck over towards one. This time it's Mochi Mei. And again, it's an A site split looking to be eyed up, and the judge, the classic judge.
Oh yeah.
Throwing net.
Tried and true. Colby Judge in towards tree. Has to try and dodge the flashes, all the utility.
Sensor down.
No real
Where is that
execute
deadlock
just
supposed
yet.
to be going? What?
I think it was meant to be a lineup for like up over into like catwalk, and I think it bounced wrong. But you know, with this kind of, I guess, almost replacement of the deadlock utility, you now have this mid crawl that Tenax is trying to do, and that's right into the sight line of Rover with that Odin.
30 seconds left.
Even if Vanitas is able to find this kill onto
No
Ivory,
way!
it's already been a commit. But how did they find May as well? Oh no, now it's a 3v5, and you have a deadlock that's all the way out of position. Cokes,
Last player
you have to
standing.
go so huge here, and when Soggy is already ready and holding you, there's
10
nothing that
seconds
Colby can do here.
Spike planted.
Just jiggles into death. Morgan will take them out, and that is 11 strong for Tenax.
And that was thing. I'm not sure what exactly was going on over towards line there. They went for the double swing, but Vanitas just with the flash lights everyone up and takes down 2 and pretty much closes the round out right then and there. So now with 11 rounds in the back pocket, CRH are forced to go back down to an eco. No force in sight for them, so they're accepting their fate of trying to force into overtime, and it's a fast play to start off the rounds. Soggy still gets 3! What a spray down!
God!
How?
It's just unbelievable. And now a
Spike
2v5. Nothing but sheriffs.
enemy
They just
remaining.
have to try and get kills, and the Soggy Seal's just unstoppable. It's only the classic of Cokes as they try and go for the knife to get any sort of value in this round. And Tenax
Match point.
now at map point.
And a beautiful switch up in pace. Trying to change up the tempo after there had been a very few, or slow, excuse me, first 4 rounds of the half. Finally, just doing a quick flash and dash play to take anyone playing over toward off guard. And my God, I mean, Soggy Seal able to pick up 3. And so 7 chances to close this one out. The first map of this would be a statement for Tenax to come out and show. And already the rotates are coming over. They don't want to let this go out. Let this go just
Right here.
a weak little whimper.
Site already
Spike
taken
planted.
over with trades already rummaging their way through the front of the site here, and Soggy Seal able to still find more. It's now all up to Rover, and in a 1v3, it's just too much to ask. Tenax GC steamroll their way through map number 1 and take it 13-5.
And steamroll is exactly the way to put it. That was not close at all. I mean, on the defense half, just lighting up, getting 8 rounds to the 4 of CRH, and then once it swapped over to the attack, it was the same story. It just didn't feel like CRH really had that great of a game plan. Reminiscent of yesterday, how I felt on Sunset, where they looked okay on the attack, but once it went to the defense side, the rotations were a little bit off. The understanding of how to play the composition just wasn't there quite all the way. And Tenax, I mean, what a performance. And it wasn't just one player, right, Angel? It was a lot of players coming up. Soggy Seal there at the ends. I mean, Sexter Morgan as well, having a quiet but deadly performance. And that's what you want to see on a map like Ascent. Everyone contributing, everyone doing their part to make sure the job gets done.
Oh, yeah. And it's, again, the fact that we're seeing all of them combine here, and you're not just looking at one individual player, right? I think Vanitas was the name to stand out, especially when you consider that they hit the ground running, right? They were super hot from the start of the game, and they just kept that momentum with them, right? They're ending 19-10, over 1 kill per round. They had 5 first bloods on that defense. They were looking absolutely lethal in those opening plays. To see them start this series off that strongly, I think it's going to kind of shift expectations throughout the rest of the series as to what's going to happen on map 2 and 3.
Yeah, but we will have to see how those expectations live up. If there's any resurgence in map number 2 for CRH. But before that, we're going to have to throw it to a short break. And then we'll be right back with map number 2 of Lotus.
Welcome back to the Tenax Series Season 4 Grand Finals presented by our partners at Cracked Media. My name is Ancient Angel. Here with me is Zero Fight. And oh my god, Zero, we just came off of what we described as a steamroll on map 1, where Tenax took Cokes' Retirement Home's map pick in 18 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it was dominant to say the least. Like, it was 13-5 as that final score, and it didn't feel close at all, if we're being real. They got 4 rounds on the defense or on the attack side for Coast Retirement Home. One was the anti-eco that they were not really supposed to get, and like I said, it was just a bit right? And so coming into map number 2 of Haven, we need to see a switch up. We need to see a little bit of life be brought back in. I did say I expected if Coke's Retirement Home were going to take this series home, we want to see it. It's probably going to be in some of those later maps like map 4, map 5, where they finally end up taking those. But they need to get something going now. And I'm really going to be looking at Colby and Ivory to kind of step up. Ivory wasn't having the best performance on map number 1 on that Yoru. Here, maybe we'll have a little bit more chance, but Colby as well just felt a little bit flat. It felt like the individuals just weren't shining.
Yeah, and I think Colby is a player that we especially need to keep our eyes on, because it did feel like throughout that group stage that Colby was the player you needed to look at when it came to big performances to keep this team afloat and keep this team successful. So as we move into Haven, right, it's going to be important to think about whether or not we can see that level of freedom in terms of agents coming into Haven. Otherwise, we're going to be in a kind of weird spot where, then CRH is down 2-0. They're going to have to try and reverse sweep to win the thing, and it doesn't feel that realistic. So you want to see a big bounce back here.
And we've seen them play, right, double Sentinel with the Chamber. It was, I believe, the Cypher Deadlock or Cypher Chamber on Lotus. And then yesterday we got to see them play the Vise Chamber on Split. So Haven is another one of those maps where it's a very viable composition to lean into. Sure, Ivory would be likely sat back onto that Yoru, and that's another thing, right? Is Ivory has had these ups and downs, typically that one sending it in, but if they're sending it in and there's no one really to follow up behind them who's actually ending up getting those kills outside of like Rover, who's the IGL, and I don't feel as if you can consistently rely on that. It's just not showing up. So we need to find a little bit of a resurgence, Jesus, and I don't know, find a little bit more of those micro plays. But for Tenax here, I mean, one map taken down, they had to be feeling confident coming into their own map pick as well. So I know for a fact they will be feeling nice and good, especially with Vanitas, the new player on the block, is subbing in for Chia for these grand finals. And on that KO roll, nonetheless, was the top, and then also still had 12 assists. So is really just being the jack of all trades here, being the super sub for this Tenax squad.
Yeah, and that's what you need to hope for, is this kind of super sub mentality and momentum just keeps going for them. Because that way, if you're Tenax and you have Vanitas firing, you have your primary spearhead of your offense in Seal firing as well, you're going to have important pop-off moments from Morgan. If you have that big 3 all working in tandem, then we're going to get out of here early tonight. Let's be honest about it. That's what we just saw from Ascent, and it's what they want to try and do going forward, especially on a map like Haven, where it is such an open playground of compositions. You have the opportunity to kind of put everyone on their comfort agents, and that does go both ways. But for Tenax, if you already have a good thing going, let's just keep it going, right? Just don't stop the hype train.
And if you get into that, but we'll have to see where these kind of agent comps go, where they pivot towards. We've seen them play in the past, but they've liked to swap it up. So maybe seeing a little bit of a different look. but actually it's going to be mirror comps here coming into Haven. The double duelist Fnatic comp with this ISO Yoru. It's going to be Colby on that Yoru, something I've really wanting to be seeing. And then Vanitas actually as well on that Yoru, something we've seen her excel on in that GC main circuit scene. But Eli, once again, on that Sentinel role, playing a bit more passive, a bit more lax, will be really looking to try to anchor on this defense side quite often. But I like this look, honestly, for both sides, right? Allow those individuals to come online, have some of the bit more of those kind of micro, small play. We'll have to see if that actually reigns true or not. So 1-0 as far as map scores go. It's going to be CRH starting off on this defense side, and it looks like it's going to be an early brawl over towards mid.
Destabilizing.
Fast. Ivory has to try and dodge. That quick little reveal scan dart doesn't go well.
Cover going out.
Tenax immediate opening pick forces Cokes off of the site as well. It just feels like Tenax, they want to stomp their way through this pistol again, but there's going to be a little bit of resistance here, especially now that they try and go a bit aggro through the back of the site. And so now it's just Eli, 1v3. Tucked in garage, has to try and time their way out, and they do get that one onto Colby, but the second flick doesn't go as planned. And so Rover, he'll be able to clean things up and grant that pistol to Cokes' retirement home.
And once again, the safe pair of hands, always the clutch player for this squad of CRH. And that was a beautiful demonstration early on of how you're wanting to play this C-site defense. You sure you have this double duelist, but you want to be trying to flood in, throw those smokes over towards, whether it be logs or towards the default position alongside those cyber cages, and try to flood in, fight for backside, and never let the attackers feel comfortable in their positioning. And so early on, we see this outlaw purchase be forced up. On the other side, 3 sheriffs. And I've talked about it so much, but no round is free.
One enemy remaining.
No, it is not.
Except for maybe this
all.
one.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I mean... Yeah. Cokes died, though. Wait a minute. Yeah.
That is true.
Hashtag noticing.
Hashtag noticing, but also, look at it. I mean, Rover is able to get 6 pips towards that ultimate already. Really not facing any sort of pressure over towards A long. And so now with the first full buy round, Vanitas will only be able to afford a Spectre, not wanting to have to deal with any cheeky outlaw peaks. Once again, it's another early play to try to fight for this mid control, fight towards B. But May this time, willing to give it up, not wanting to overextend and overfight.
Oh. Doesn't even matter if you want to back up. Vanitas is still taking that opener, and sure, Cokes will be able to get the trade, but with no smokes available for a retake or to delay a site hit, it's going to be purely off the back of fragging at this point. Rover in the side of the site here over by Graffiti gets taken out by Stardust, and Tenax feels like they've found their way to a pretty competent first rifle round here. But retirement home, they still want to try and convert this bonus, but Soggy Seal's not going to allow it. Gonna lock out Ivory from this round, and it basically is confirmed at this point because there's no way a 2v4.
Cage triggered.
Right? No way.
Last player standing.
Yeah,
Now
no
look at
way.
all the utility they still have. So
need
Soggy
that
takes
Colby
care of
here.
Cokes, and now for, I mean, Colby, it's the exit game, right? If you can take care of one here, that would be great. Okay, you get Eli, you can teleport right on out of there. Keep that Phantom, save it up. I mean, that feels pretty confident.
Yeah, that is a freak position by Colby there, to be honest. Playing the exits. Surprising Eli there, but yeah, does some good damage, even able to carry the Phantom through into the next. So not a terrible bonus round for this defense side. And so Rover, one away from that Hunter's Fury. Vanitas, very close to that Dimensional Drift of their own. And the reason this composition can be so powerful is because of those ultimates, right? You start to get them online early. You have the Iso ult as well, which is pretty much just a free round win. arguably the strongest ultimate in the entire game when you can just pick someone up and nearly have an 80% chance to win the round if you do so. So the ultimate orb was gained. Vanitas now looking to scout out this site, but it'll just be a retake setup. They have to go for this.
Got one. Camera
Otherwise, look at the trapwire.
Perfect from Colby onto Soggy Seal. Now goes searching even more, but Eli's Guardian takes care of one. He just
Spike
trade
planted.
with that judge. It's kind of just shut Retirement Home out of the round. Now 2 versus 4 again.
Last player standing.
Yeah, forget it. Vanitas 3 kills strong. Looking so powerful.
Really is. It just didn't feel like anything could come together there. Rover even investing that Hunter's Fury, but it didn't really get anything done at the end of the day. Just delayed the plant for a little longer. And so while we had a good first 2 rounds to start, it's instantly responded back. And look at this, Angel. We're seeing a force down. I was talking about how the comms felt disconnected, not all there. But Colby, at the last moment, decides just to pick up a Guardian. But Rover still forced down that full armor and Vandal and the double push down middle.
Oh, it's a force buy that does not work well. Tenax find their open 2 frags and only lose Soggy Seal in the process. That was Vanitas in the process. Soggy Seal will be able to work their way up C long and take that C site.
There's a fake clone there, but 3 players are wrapping up, getting through CT, but Eli...
This is disastrous, but Rover takes care of it, and now it evens up the scoreboard here. 3-3 in round number 5 as we tie up 2-2. 40 seconds left as the spike will be planted on A, but there will be Colby and Rover here. Fast responses.
So
30
Paranoia
seconds
sent
left.
out. Spike should get planted. How fast does this retake come through? Is it connected? The spam!
Spike down A.
Good on Stardust and the flash as well to delay. It's going to buy a little bit more time here for this retake, which still hasn't gone down yet. They want to bait out the shock darts, bait out this utility. Morgan sits by Graffiti and gets taken out by the crossfire of Colby and May, and that's the drop down. A bit for May to take round number 5. Cokes' retirement home. They get that lead.
So finally able to get something in response. It was just that one gun forced into it, but Enos went down. And Rover able to pick up Eli on the flank. They just managed to convert that advantage very, very well. So now coming into round number 6, Soggy Seal will have that kill contract online. And typically, what you see if you watch a lot of NA challengers or just GC as well, you'll see a lot of these teams just go for straight up site execs. You just try to go get a scan off with either the Owl Drone or the Recon Dart. And once that pings someone, you pop that ult. And there it goes. Soggy Seal, the advantage, but it doesn't matter. Colby takes the head right off.
I know exactly where.
Beautiful. And Tenax, they respond with 2 of their own. Keeps the numbers even.
Spike planted.
Focusing. Not bad. My ult is ready.
So this retake coming through, the Dimensional Drift finally comes out, and May needs to find the kill, able to get one, and the blind is perfect. It's in unison. So the double swing gets the job done, and a second round in a row goes the way of CRH.
Idiots.
And these retakes are looking beautiful. But truly, it's off the back of Soggy Seal not able to get that kill onto Colby. And so once they come out, it's just a distraction. and it falls apart. So Ivory will have their own kill contract to try to play retake.
That goes there.
And it's just Sheriff's Guardian in the hands of Stardust. Honestly, at this point, I would like to see maybe a bit of a switch up in game plan, right? There hasn't been much
Shadows traveling.
outside of this initial mid hit, and then try to maybe poke and prod. But this time, it's a slow start for Tenax here. Trying to work these Sheriffs, see if there's any over-aggression being played, but so we can see Cokes. The full setup towards this C site, looking to play a bit of a retake. Pause, and Ivory going to be first contact on this triple push through garage. Drone not spotting anything out quite yet. Ivory inside of this smoke. Just holding. And so finally, the exec comes through, but Ivory rips it off the head and pops the shield, gets the second, gets the third, and it's just the shooting range for the duelist.
Enemy remaining.
Sprays a little bit of damage onto Stardust, but Colby and May to clean up the rest. And so a flawless round to get a 5th on the board. And while it was a slow start to this defense side, a little bit shaky, they've restabilized and they found safe grounds. And so on this defense half, where you maybe look to get 4 rounds if you're lucky, we're already in a great spot. Not even having to invest a lot of those ultimates. Vanitas with the Bucky. It's another eco. It's a disconnected buy, but they want to try to go for something. So they Yoru ult through B, trying to get all this information out. But surely they spotted out Colby going aggro. And spots out this, pops out of the ult, but it pulls all 5 rotates over. There's no acceleration, no nothing from this Tenax side on the attack. It's just slow. Trying to put question marks in the brains. And so meanwhile, they have the drone to re-clear. It'll make the information a little bit false. I mean, there's no one there, sure, but still 4 players sat towards short and long. Eli found a timing. There's no way it's expected. Cokes is just on the camera, and I think it's just a little unfortunate. And Eli might even be able to make their way back, but no, finally taken down. And now the execute comes through, but Rover able to adjust, pops the ultimate. And now it's just an all-out brawl on site. Those players from earlier taken down, and they'll spike left in the middle of the ground. Ivory able to win out the ultimate, so Soggy Seal 0 for 2 now.
And that's the end.
Now the attackers are left into a 2v3.
One enemy
Trying to
remaining.
hold on. Rover just shuts it down and cleans it up. There's no safe place to play on site. And it just feels so uncomfortable for these attackers. They need to call a timeout. They need to have some sort of adjustment. Because so far, it has just been 4 rounds in a row of utter domination on these retakes. And I hate to keep calling back to it, but it just really does feel so disconnected in the buy. Like, Vanitas sure bought the Bucky and they had the ultimate, but off the back of that, they saw that no one was playing really onto site. There was at least 3 people towards B or A, and it's just indecisive. So now they want to try to go for a 4-1 over towards the C site. It's just lit up from that recon dart, but the defense can only get 1 before having to backpedal a little bit. But no smoke, no dart cover to assist, and Rover having to take the fights. Gets shut down, they have to go through, and the spam trades come through, and Ivory
Show me a target.
Last player standing.
not able to do much, just a little bit of damage. Cokes on their way back to try to assist, but it's all too late. Stardust with only 30 HP in a dream needs to clutch this out. It's been messy, it's been scrappy. The bottom frag for the Tenax GC squad. Cokes as well. The twin for the respective team. So it'd be a huge clutch for either side. So tap goes down, bomb will be planted, but Cokes
Spike planted.
be here early. There's still a lot of positioning to clear out. Going aggressive, but Cokes with the adjustment gets it done, and Stardust can't get the round through. At the end of the day, the 30 HP is just too much to deal with. And the nerves are not showing like they once did on that first map. Just a little of extra spam, you know, just for good measure. Make sure they're dead, you know. Can't be too safe. So now a 5-round lead on this defense side of Haven. It seems, I mean, so far on both teams' map pick, they've been going down. And it's just looked disconnected, not playing as a team, not feeling like they are on the same page. Even here, there's the thought of going for Guardian buy, like Vanitas forcing down. They'll have the 2,900 loss bonus, so sure they can maybe buy light armor and a Vandal. But it's just not standard protocol for this composition. It doesn't feel practice. It doesn't feel like they really understand the win conditions of the comp. You want to be going for farming orbs, trying to get your duelists as many ults in a half as possible. And Soggy Seal, with only 3 rounds left in the half, is just now eyeing up their second kill contract. So 4 players posture towards garage. And a completely empty A site. They have no care in the world for it. But as I say that, Tenax decide to try to go and re-explore. This is a bit more of what you'd expect for a traditional Haven macro, right? Try to work towards either C or A in the early round and then work the rest of the map later. Make a call in that last 30, 40 seconds. So they'll be able to get this A site for free. Ideally, you get Soggy Seal that plants as well to get the ultimate online. And you're not looking too bad.
30 seconds
But it's
left.
not going to come through. It's a wasted ult orb onto the Sova, who already has that Hunter's Fury. Paranoia still in the hands of the Bay Harbor Butcher. And a lot of delay here. These retakes, they've been flawless so far. And there's 5v5, weapon advantage. But the Hunter's Fury, it's ripped early, and it's ripped from a position where it doesn't get much value. Just one tag onto the Ivory, who trades it out for the shield, but the Stinger coming in clutch. But it doesn't matter. The lighter weapon's not going to do enough. And so Eli, though, the star player, gets it done! With the whip around at the end. And bails out their team at the final hour. The thrifty round to close it out and get the third on the board. But it wasn't clean. It was messy. It felt a little labored. Investing the ultimate. And I gotta say, I know I've mentioned over and over that it's both of these teams really lean into this more puggy style, right? They've been leaning into this clove, this chamber comp where you can just allow your players to kind of have a bit more freedom. But here it's kind of, rather than look like a strength, look like a weakness. And there, it's just a waste. Soggy Seal sending in the ultimate with no information. It's an absolute blunder. And so now the huge tool to try to continue, find a second round in a row for the first time. And then Colby as well, just going for a random peek. It's desperation on both ends with this double push towards long. Maybe you can find something for this defense side. Dimensional Drift to clear this out. Will spot out just Ivory. Now the map. It's a little all over the place. You have 2 players worked up into B. Soggy Seal trying to make a lurk through window. Able to get the connection onto May. And the advantage for the attackers are there. 5v3. Able to get the second. Able to get the third. And the resurgence making up for lost time. And so a 4th round will be gained for this attack side, and when it's needed most, they get the flawless, they get it done. And they're clawing their way back into this after 5 consecutive rounds in a row for the retirement home. It's looking nice. This attack side. Round number 12.
This goes here.
Coax's retirement home with 4 ultimates to try to use to get themselves an 8th on the board. Repeat the first half of Ascent, but just vice versa. So the kill trips to play for Coaxera. But Vanitas takes down Colby, so they won't be able to use that ultimate. The kill contract online wins it out onto that Yoru. So an advantage.
Spike planted.
Excuse me, just an even of the numbers. There goes the paranoia to delay, but this tripwire still set up. Asagi Seal is clean with it.
Last player standing.
It doesn't matter that Coax comes flying in from the heavens. Stardust cleans it up and cleans it down.
Switching sides.
And so, once what once was a 7-2 half ends up being 7-5. You'll take that if you're Tenax. This is your map pick. You want to be feeling confident on it. And sure, it maybe isn't the round count that you would have liked to see, but you'll take what you can get. And especially as some of these players are finally starting to feel themselves get online. Meanwhile, Coax, the mainstay of this Tenax scene, the 2-time champion of Tenax series, the only player looking to make the repeat appearance in this grand final. It's currently sat 4-10, the bottom of the lobby. And in these last few days, they've really been what's had so much success for them. And again,
Spike down mid.
it's just Sexter Morgan finding
One
2
enemy
in middle, and it's just a collapse on everything for this side. Sure, Colby gets a consolation prize at the end there, but it's just walkabouts. Every player just getting picked off individually, and once again, it's starting to feel so similar to that first half. The attack side of Ascent, where it just was flat. There was no real connection of ideas. The team play wasn't there. The individuals weren't firing. And so the third pistol round gains currently sat 3-1
Here,
for 10x GC.
claw through them.
Looking to tie this one up.
It's that Tenax just dominance that we're continuing to see, and it's reflected in the pistol rounds, right? There's been some fight back from Coax's retirement home, but you want to see more. And keep in mind that during one of these pistols, in that anti-eco, it was Coax's retirement home able to get that thrifty, but with Vanitas getting that opening shot onto Colby, it just feels all the less likely that they could replicate the success.
And so, honestly, if you're this attack side, you just want to try to farm up some orbs here. I was talking about it earlier on in the last half, but the win condition for this composition is really off the back of the ultimates. You have the ISO, sure, the Yoru as well, both very strong characters in their own right to kind of have that 1-2 punch on the attack, but where it really comes to shine is the cycle of the ultimates, just constantly having those online to help you win rounds. But we weren't really seeing that on either side.
Going out.
So we'll have to see. Just keep an eye on that. Put a pin on that. As the plant comes through, the site is
30
gained.
seconds left.
Bit more. It's that initial flash, and the Stardust and Vanitas just completely rip open the site. It's a full house between the two of them. And Tenax, they've tied us back up at 7-all, but hopefully for the retirement home, they have an opportunity to get some guns into their hands.
Yeah, and this has always been their more favored side. We've seen them have more success on the attack where they can lean into the individuals more, go for some of those more micro plays. And that's what I want to start to see, right? I mean, even on maps such as like Pearl that they were playing the double duelist comp on, similar to that, they were going for early map control and then going for like a pause in the mid round. And then once again, after that initial aggression, they go on and they pick up the tempo. But here, just playing it slow. I think they heard the jump up from Vanitas towards short, but it's not made note of yet. So 2 players walking down long here, trying to make do with what they can.
Yeah, and the fact that they have all this space long, it might give them a little bit of false confidence. So if they do want to commit A, you have to be really careful because there is that player tucked in towards short. Vanitas has the opportunity to completely rip this attacking round open.
And they've been sharp with this Marshall so far. And Rover going to be the one to make the first contact. Vanitas.
Rover not aware, but the barrel spotted, and that's the shot taken.
Down A.
Rover's out. Not going to be able to add any more impact to this round, and Colby gets taken down by an errant shot as well, but Vanitas does get crunched upon thanks to that lurk out from long. Ivory and Cokes were able to get that plant sealed away for this attacking side. It's going to be that full 4v4 flood retake. Cokes does get revealed by that dart. So May, you're going to have to try and bail them out as all this utility comes in. Morgan's the first to fall, and there might be some in a second if they can't find their way out of this smoke. And with Colby's just spraying them down, Eli might just be forced to save if they could even get away. One onto Colby's all they're going to be able to get as Cokes' retirement home has found their way back into the lead.
Finally having a resurgence there. Not only the count of just winning a rounds, but that's what we have been looking for. Playing as a team, fighting, and making those decisive calls, and everyone following through on them. Not just one player, not just 2 players, but the whole ass team. So they get themselves an 8th round, and they'll be able to buy a couple weapons alongside that. The first rifle v rifle round of this second half. Colby with the Dimensional Drift online. Vanitas pretty close to an ult of their own. So spam goes down as the
counter spam is good onto Vanitas though.
Yeah, so much damage done.
It's a lot.
Portal closed.
Not sure what Colby was going for with the teleport there, but eventually gets it done.
Trust. Okay, watch. If Colby just takes this fight right now onto Eli, wins that, teleports out, oh, it would have been an absolute cinema. You'd have been like, oh, I get it now, but you know, Eli just doing a jump spot there.
Look at Vanitas, though. Look at how aggressive they're going. They're going to soon meet into Rover, but gets taken down. And so that space given up.
Yeah, it's going to leave Soggy Seal alone here on this site. A bit of an island, but they do have a Sova to their side in Graffiti, and now that that's Morgan joining them as well, it leaves the C site completely open for the taking. Cokes is going to be left inserted to try and catch a timing on the way out, but it's that C site,
30 seconds left.
all-important 3rd letter. Under so much scrutiny by these attackers, they've already jumped in. There's going to be no way that Eli can contest this plant that's about to go down. Information gathered, they know where 2 of them are. Eli's already out on the site, has to back away. And with Cokes'
This retake's coming in quick.
Yeah, it's coming in quick, but you're gonna have Cokes, who's on that very long lurk all the way through defender spawn. So all the rest of the retirement home needs to do is stall. And if Colby can get these frags, all important, then it shouldn't even matter. Cokes would be a non-factor until the very end. They get that final shot onto Morgan, and it's a team ace to drag Cokes just 1 round away from double digits.
So finally the timeout being called for Log Muncher. And I said it was going to be a quick retake. It looked like it might have been, but even though there was 4 players sat in that smoke, you're just waiting a little bit longer, maybe wanting to not force their way through that dark cover, but just too much to deal with, and Cokes finally coming online with these lurks. That's what we want to be seeing, right? That's what was finding them a lot of success. Have the early aggression, then be able to bait and pull those rotates over, whether it be Cokes in this round or in some other rounds, Colby, but just a beautifully executed round. So now Vanitas and crew looking to try to find a response.
Yeah, and it's now a position where, you know, Tenax, for what feels like the first time in this series, are truly being tested, right? Obviously, we talked about that first map and how easy it was for them to bring it across, and there were moments in that first half, but, you know, by the end of that half, when they came back and it was 7-5, all of a sudden, it kind of just felt like that first half was a wash, you know, attack-sided map, right? But now things are starting to get dicey, and things are starting to get close for Cokes' retirement home.
And if CRH can get some momentum rolling, especially with those ultimates, it could quickly get dangerous here. And so for this defense side of Tenax, it's just a light buy. Sure, Vanitas has that Bucky. Dimensional Drift as well will go for some sort of play, but we haven't seen any value off of this yet today. And I don't know if they really can go for a play like this. They'd be isolated on their own. They do go for it, and it's
Colby! Oh! Turns around and gets the shot onto Vanitas. And Ivory able to find one as well, but now as all of these kills go out onto the site, Morgan was never ever checked on until the very end. May can finally get the kill onto their other on the opposite side of the board. And now it's that 1 versus 2, but both of these players oh so low, but thankfully Colby gets the better of an overswinging Eli, and Cokes' retirement home will grab double digits. They have doubled their score from the first map.
Yeah, tried to go for the timing play, see if they could have the trigger discipline to pick up both frags, but sadly the angle is being watched, and so finally double digits is gained. And Vanitas using that big ultimate, honestly, maybe would have liked to see it in some sort of retake position to try to get themselves an advantage. But no, investing it there, so now no huge round-winning ultimates online for the defense. Meanwhile, Ivory, who's been a consistent winner of that kill contract, has it online. And I want to see it be used off of info, but May, not expecting the lockdown by Eli. And so that's the smoke's gone now. The neural theft will come through.
Look at Vanitas.
Information. Yeah.
They have to check this. They don't, though, and Vanitas takes another, this time onto Rover, and that drops the spike. Cokes needs to try and frag back, gets the first. They haven't found anything else yet, and with Seal taking out both of Cokes' remaining teammates, it's just them alone in a 1 versus 4. They have the Vandal to work with, but there's so much to do. And they have to start with this first kill, and they're not even looking for Morgan and Cubby. It's gonna do it. Tenax, sure, they let Cokes' retirement home get to double digits, but they're not giving up just yet.
Not quite, and a beautiful adjustment from Eli to try to take liberties down long. There hasn't been any real fast plays to come out from the retirement home so far. It's been a lot of slow starts, whether it be, I mean, just taking some sort of map control early, sure, but there's not been any, like, fast exec play, set strat to just take site and get the bomb down. We might be seeing that in this round, but the kill contract just scoops up Stardust. And takes him out of the rounds.
Contract completed.
Immediately after, it's that A site take. No defenders here to really stop it. Sure, Seal will be able to take care of May, but Colby responds in kind. And now the numbers, they still favor the retirement home. And now that Cokes is starting to get active out of hell, and Colby remains dominant from default, it's all up to Morgan, and with 3 kills, looking for 4. Oh, this could be it. Almost full health. Is this Omen looking for an over-peeking rover out from default? And gets it done! Finds the 4 kills necessary. 1v4 clutch up. Tenax GC finds their way to 9.
And they, in fact, did not know, as the Omen able to climb in so clutch there to get the 4th. As that got so dicey. It was an eco for Cokes' retirement home. But my god, at the last hour, clutching it up and getting it done. So now 1 round separating these teams. But I believe that, the retirement home, they liked the switch up to just try to go fast, try to make a quick play. And so they have the dimensional drift. Teleport comes through to spot out this defensive setup. Oh, and there's the ult combo.
Eli's gone immediately from that Hunter's Fury, and Colby can trade out Vanitas as well. A little bit of a, boisterous B-hop into the back of the site there. Does eventually get taken out.
One enemy remaining.
And May, with that kill on the Soggy Seal, means it's just Stardust alone. 1v3.
Planted.
This would be a huge task for them to do. We saw a 1v3 just in the last round. On the side of Dexter Morgan, but it just can't be done. Cokes with the shot to the side of the head in Stardust and pushes us to that 11th round here. And Angel, that is what we've been talking about, right? About the ultimates. The combos that you can have with the Yoru ult. It's so strong to just spot out and give pretty much just free information to that team, whether it be the ISO ults to come through or that Hunter's Fury to just ping out those players and essentially get a free kill onto anyone who's trying to anchor those sites. So it just doesn't work out well, separating the lead just a little bit longer. We will be going into just a slight tech pause. We'll update the chat as soon as we're aware of the issue. In the meantime, I will say if Tenax are able to make this comeback, they would love it to be able to go up 2-0. This is a best of 5, right? So if you can get these early maps, you would have to just do a complete reverse sweep for Coast's retirement home, which is really difficult because you just have so much Valorant to play through, right? You can't falter one bit. You have to be near perfect to make it count.
Yeah, it has to be a nearly perfect kind of run here. Even assuming you're okay with overtime, you can only drop 1 round. And you have to pick up at least 3. So Tenax is in such a difficult spot, especially when you look at the money game, right? Even if they're able to win the next round, they still have to deal with another full buy from Cokes' retirement home in the round following that, as well as, potentially a new wave of ultimates as well. It's going to be a super hard climb to get out of this position, but it's not impossible, right? You're going to have some sort of a force here in round number 21, but it's other than maybe a big performance out of Seal, another Vanitas multi-kill.
And honestly, I would like to continue to see some of that aggression from this defense side, right? Typically when you think of Haven, historically, it's all about that early A pressure, trying to control lobby, trying to control that area on the defense side. So then you can just insert maybe 1-2 players, push up, and then that's 2 lanes out of the 5 just accounted for. But we really haven't seen that, especially since the ISO change where you lose one of those vulnerables in exchange for the suppression that goes alongside it. It's not as easy to necessarily do that shock vulnerable ult early on But yet, this round, it looks like we might finally see some of that aggression coming out as we get back into the match. I think just waiting on one player to return, as it's not something that we've seen a whole lot, but it's what has found success. And on an eco round, you might as well try something different, try something new, and see if it works out in your favor.
Yeah, you know what we're going to try? We're going to try sending Seal down short and watch them farm. Watch them farm with headshots.
And honestly, though,
on this aggressive flank.
And it worked out well in the, I believe it was round, what, number 3? Sure, it didn't end up getting the round, but Vanitas was able to get postured up with that Marshall in an unsuspecting position. And when Cokes' retirement home went for that rewrap, they ended up getting a kill, but it's not going to matter this round. It's just a full exec with 4 players towards this C site. But look at how quick these players are on the flank, wrapping right behind the attackers.
Utility there, right? You have that trap wire that's there. It's going to hold this flank in place, at least for the time being. Shadow Step was heard, so you do send Rover to try and investigate over towards Long. Morgan, though, will be able to win that fight. 4-on-4 now as this retake starts to flood in. It's 2 of these players in the back of the site. Ivory and May, they take care of business there. And now it's just Eli. 1v3, and Cokes denies it immediately. Prevents it from happening, and now match point for Cokes' retirement home.
A beautiful adjustment to come through and just decide, hey, why don't we just like hit sites with our double duelist comp? Why don't we just like why don't we just try to do that and just kill them? And it works. It's been working well. And so 2 rounds in a row gets them to match point. On the other side, we're not going to see the same early aggression that looked honestly pretty decent, but going down short is Soggy Seal. How expected is this? Has to back up, get spotted by that camera.
Just trying to shotgun blast
Look at Colby. Look, how did they get there?
Yeah. They just run through the B site. They take that opening pick. Sure, it's traded out, but look at the gap that it's created. It's forced these players off of this A site. They need to try and contend with other parts of the map. And because of that, it's this free site that's going to allow that plant to go down. You're going to have some really nice defensive positions that you're going to be able to hold. Ivory backs up, just waits for Rover to fully stick now. And again, no real ultimate's going to be able to be used here by Tenax. Rover does get taken out, though. So it is numbers now in favor in exactly that flank from Vanitas. It's going to be so important, but Ivory and Cokes have both found one for now, and with Vanitas taking care of Ivory, Cokes has to isolate again, finds the first, swaps and uses the neural theft, and the swing from Eli doesn't matter! Cokes learns and lights up the server in map number 2 to take it for the retirement home.
The 2-time winner clutching it out there to push us to map number 3, 13-9 for Cokes' retirement home. And a statement being made as the resurgence in that second half. And honestly, that looks like a completely different squad there towards the end. It was a bit wishy-washy, if I gotta say. It was disconnected. It felt like the individuals weren't on the same page, but after that tech pause, a little bit before that as well, they finally managed to understand what their win conditions were, go back to the simplicity of what was winning them rounds. And my God, did it look strong, look confident, and Tenax get their map pick ripped right from underneath them.
Oh, that they do. And in similar fashion to the first map, admittedly, Tenax did put up more of a fight than Cokes did on map number 1, but you still have to mention it. And it was the person we were looking at in between the 2 maps. Colby, welcome to the server. Welcome to the series, my friend. You showed up in a huge manner. In 22 rounds, you got 22 kills, 5 of them being first bloods. You were finally able to put up a performance that could rival Vanitas. Ivory, the player that you mentioned, Zero, had a huge performance as well compared to where they were on map 1 to where they're at right now at 19 and 17. Cokes had really good moments in the clutch. Rover was having really impactful mid-round frags and good pieces of utility to help out this team and help out those duelists in those fights. I mean, this was the Cokes' retirement home we were expecting coming into Ascent, and the fact that we get to see them here on Haven, I feel like we can finally say we have a series on our hands.
I would agree. So now the maps are tied 1-1 here, Ancient Angel. We'll be headed to Split next. Both of these teams like to play this map. It's been a little bit of a hidden gem for Cokes' retirement home. Tenax a little bit more willing to lean into this, but both of these teams are going to have to be feeling confident as we head into map number 3. But quickly, I just want to thank our sponsor as well, Cracked Media, who put on their XP Share podcast. Make sure you check that out if you want to stay up to date with all the esports industry updates and gaming news. Again, that's the XP Share podcast presented by Cracked Media. And Angel, we're going to throw it to a short break before we head to map number 3 of Split, but make sure not to go anywhere because we got a lot more Valorant still to be played.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tenax Series Season 4 Grand Finale, Grand Final, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, we're crowning a champion of Season 4 today. My name is Ancient Angel. Here with me is Zero. And between Cokes' retirement home and Tenax GC themselves, we've got a bit of a series on our hands, okay? That first map, which was Cokes' retirement home's pick, that went 13-5. But then we go to Tenax's pick of Haven, and it was 13-9, the way of the retirement home, Zero.
Yeah, so each team taking the other's map pick. It started off pretty dominant on Ascent, and then it went over to Haven, and honestly, it looked a little bit shaky for both sides, if I gotta be completely honest. But towards the end there, especially the latter half of the attack side for Cokes' retirement home, they looked strong. They came in. The players were hitting shots. The individuals were playing as a team. And I'm looking for them to continue that streak of success into this next map of Split, which we'll get to see quite shortly as we hop into Agent Select. But Ancient Angel, this has been a map where both of these teams have found a lot of success with very interesting compositions, right? Yesterday, we got to see both of these comps, but it's actually so the same composition coming in for Tenax. Eli going to be that main player to look for on that Clove. Has been a little silent, to be honest, so far in this series. But on the other side, it's actually a switch in composition. So it's almost this double duelist Fnatic-esque comp rather than the Vice Chamber that worked so well for them.
Yeah, they opt for the Yoru Raise, which, gonna be honest, I almost prefer it. I think that we've seen really strong showings out of Colby so far on this Yoru pick. I think being able to keep them in line with this idea is going to be huge for how they choose to play throughout the rest of this series and throughout this map specifically. You're still going to have Ivory, who's on, you know, more of a traditional duelist type of role, which is where they're the most comfortable. Rover's still strong on this initiator pick, and you're keeping Cokes on the Cypher. I'm happy.
And honestly, you don't have to switch up how you play this Yoru for Colby all that much. Sure, you don't have that tour de force for that little econ boost, but you can still op all you want on this agent. And the double push gets pushed back for the defense side. Ivory on this raise that honestly has been consistently their best looking agent so far. Going to be a bit more in a comfort role as there's a 4-player push over towards mid to try to break some of this util. But now they have to make a decision. A minute left on the clock, and they've pushed and pulled all over the map, but no real map space has been gained. It's just been a trade of utility, a trade of shots.
Yeah, I mean, they did pull a couple players over towards tower, but no real rotations granted. So Cokes is going to go down to Morgan here on the site, as more are soon to follow. Colby, at the very least, will be able to get the trade. No plant just yet. Instead, it's going to be a double swing out of the smoke. Vanitas only able to go 1 for 1 there, but with Stardust and Eli having a field day up by Rafters, it's once again the pistol round going the way of Tenax.
It is, and so Tenax, once again, another pistol round, has been so consistent on being able to convert these throughout this series. And it's hard if you're the side of Cokes' retirement home. It feels like you're constantly on the back foot trying to play from behind when you're not able to get those online because, right, it's at least 2 rounds that you're expected to get. Plus, on top of that, you get the econ boost, you get the ultimates online earlier than the other side. So this defense is really looking to start off strong here. And this style of play was what we were seeing yesterday when they played up against Empire Redux. This defense side really leaning into these faster rotates, not necessarily gamble stacking, but always being willing to try to go and flood in, not letting these players feel comfortable on site when they're going and execing. And honestly, I like that setup. I like that, especially with how aggressive some of these players like Colby and Ivory are going to be.
Yeah, and it's this kind of continued hope that Colby and Ivory are going to continue to show up in this series that kind of fuels this retirement home roster, as we know that Cokes and May are typically players that will show up more in the late round situations and the clutches. Rover, someone who really does their best work as that, you know, IGL, the caller, the mid-rounder. Yeah. But in terms of firepower, you don't really have a ton after Colby and Ivory.
Yeah, and as well on the other side, right? So it's been Eli who has been on that sentinel role for the last 2 maps, Killjoy and then Cypher. Yesterday we got to see them on Clove twice, be that top fragger, be that player who was pushing forward their team and really enabling everyone else to succeed even when the rest of the squad wasn't showing up. But now is back on that Clove role, looking to some of that success again, already starting off hot with those 2 frags in the last. But Vanitas, who has been the top fragger for Tenax, the KO and then the Yoru, now on this Sentinel role, so looking to play a bit more passive, a bit more like an anchor player, looking to play around themselves rather than set up their... is going to need to look to find success in different ways, so I have to keep an eye on that as the series continues, as the map continues, because this could be a long one.
And it almost kind of makes you wonder what the rest of this map is going to look like, right? Obviously excusing the formalities of the pistol. But once we start to really get rifles into the hands of Colby and Ivory, once we really start to see these ultimates start to cycle, you know, Ivory is a player, you know, we mentioned it didn't have that great of a game on the Jet on Ascent, but then they swap over and they almost swap to like a secondary duelist role onto the ISO, and all of a sudden they're, you know, topping the scoreboard right behind Colby. They're looking like a really solid secondary option.
Yeah.
And now they're back on what feels like a primary duelist role again in the Rays.
Yeah, I think the main difference is, though, in both Haven and here, rather than being the one who is sending it in, and I think we saw on Thursday the same thing on Pearl, right? Where Colby is the one really sending it in and first in to draw those crosshairs and try to be that bait in these double duelist compositions. And then Ivory can come in and follow up. And that's where at least their individual performance is the best. Not necessarily if you want to talk about rounds or like the team composition, but Ivory as an individual, that's when we've been seeing them have the best performances, feel the most confident, and especially on this Rays pick, not having to be as selfless, can be a bit more selfish with how they decide to play. But this one, it's the first full save rounds that we're seeing from Cokes' retirement home. Just a walk up to try to maybe spot anything out the gravity well. But the spam from Vanitas
It's
takes
good,
the
and
duelist down early.
Eli's able to find the second, so that's both duelists. You wanted firepower. It's not going to happen in this round, not on this eco. You have to hope for something from the supporting cast. Rover will be the first up to bat and does get the headshot, but immediately traded by Eli. It does mean that you're in a tough spot, and speaking of the Clove on the side of Tenax, it's just having a great round, farming up, trying to get closer to that not dead yet with every passing second, and 6 out of 8 is where they'll stand after converting that second round eco.
It's looking nice from this Clove so far. There's not as much pressure as there was yesterday against that Breach Tejo comp, right? They don't have to worry here about being stunned and then the salvos coming in through with the Yoru teleport on top of it. They can kind of more freely play how they would like over towards this Vince position. Sure, you can maybe have that Seize Nade combo come in to try to fight for this mid control, but it's not going to come this round. It's just an early cage from this defense side and a 2-3 start to see if there's any aggro, see if there's anything to maybe just punish early. But meanwhile, the trip will finally go over towards mid, and that's going to allow the rotates to stack heavier towards this A site.
Yeah, and it's that opening pick. Soggy Seal taking care of Ivory. Colby would be the next duelist on the ballot.
And when 4 players are running that regen armor up against that outlaw, you're just primed for the taking. Soggy Seal trying to get that gun, gets hit at the end of the day. Just a little bit of damage traded for that weapon. So now just jiggle peeking for a bit of information as the rest of Cokes' retirement home groups up to try to make an attempt towards this B site. But a Trapwire and Vanitas lie in wait.
And Colby tucked into this corner. Could go undetected, but of course Eli sits in mid and waits. Now going to try and go for that flank. Oh, yes! Colby will be able to turn.
There's 20 seconds. They don't want to go.
Eli.
But they don't have time.
No, they have to go now. They have to just try and force the issue onto the site. They approach. Rover in the smoke, now running out. Will be able to take care of 2, but it needs to be the stick. Utility still out and about. Both of these players up towards tower. It's now just Stardust, and Cokes will draw it away. It's a bonus, not going to be able to be converted by Tenax. First round goes on the board for Cokes' retirement home.
A little bit of hesitation there. As Colby got that pick over towards mid, they thought they might need to pivot over, but they soon realized how low the time was. And when they went out, it was, again, as a unit. That exact style of play playing as a team, what was winning them so many of those attack rounds on Haven. Just making sure to not really falter. And oh my god, this is a quick one to start off, and Ivory takes down Stardust. Caught with util in hand. So now the A site, it's free for the taking here, Angel. But there's a quick wrap around from Eli.
And these attackers are actually a bit scared to go onto the site. They feel like there's something else. And this flank will go undetected for now. Rover, unfortunately, will be the first player of contact.
Step made.
They do want to go in for this, but no, they want to take the fight to Vents. That's that kill. On to Morgan, gone and done and dusted. Two of these players now still sitting towards the back here. That's one taken out in the form of Soggy Seal, and with Vanitas, who sits and screens. They're not really going to be able to contest with the plant. It's going to have to be the retake. And now Eli, a 1v5, and there's May sitting in spawn the whole time. Feels like a pretty nicely done round.
I know Eli is not happy about that one.
Oh no.
What is the Astra doing? Why are they there? But yeah, able to get 2 in a row, so one of the cleaner starts from Cokes' retirement home. It's going to be Tenax forced back down onto that lower buy.
This goes here.
But still, Eli, with that not dead yet, full sheriffs across the board. And we'll see an early play to try to maybe get a little aggro over towards A, see if there's any aggressive peeks. But Colby wanting to scout out this B site, make sure there's not any funny business going on, pops the dimensional drift, secures the site for their team.
They know exactly where Vanitas is. That's the decoy coming through, and the judge for Colby, it's good for one. Teleports out before they have the opportunity to get more. They are quite damaged up, though, and it's that 5 versus 4. Eli's in, trying to take those shots with the Sheriff. We know that they're a shooter, especially on this Clove. They have the not dead yet, should they choose to commit it, but it seems that they're going to decide against that for now until Stardust finds 2. That's not dead yet. Finally used. They pick up that gun, but they can't use it in time. Colby 3K from the judge is enough to convert a 3rd round for Cokes' retirement home.
And with the judge being picked up, it felt like we were getting glimpses of the normal Colby just disrespect through and through. Just not letting them take a breath, take a moment to honestly just feel comfortable. But
This is a nice spot.
Eli still had a little bit of hope in there. And they'll have a full buy here in round number 6.
I'll find you.
And so another fast play, the double blast pack up onto ramps to try to take this quickly. Stardust, again, the lone player on this A site.
We'll be joined by Morgan and Vanitas, though. And there's still no plan. It's this really passive play. But with Eli taking out May, it might force the hand of these attackers. They flash out, immediately run onto that A site. Cokes isn't able to find anything up towards heaven. Instead, it's going to have to be these players on the site. And with Colby being the only player in the round to find a kill for the side of the retirement home, it's now a 1 versus 4 for Rover. We've seen them in these positions before. Clutch is not the full focus of their profile as a player, but they do have a chance. Drops down and just casually slides in to get that round and
Where will they go?
bring us back to 3-all.
That is not a peak you typically expect, but it gets the job done in a 4K secured. We will be taking a short little tech pause as one of the players did disconnect. So we can get them back in the lobby and get back to the action pretty shortly, but we're tied up here, Angel. So it's been a little back and forth, but again, Stardust sure got caught off guard in a more aggressive position in round number 5, but there was playing a little safer, allowed their team to rotate in, support them, and fight for heaven control, especially with that dark cover coming through to protect them from any pressure from Ivory, any more forward tempo. But we'll have to see if they continue to go for stuff like that, that early aggression on this attack side with this double duelist, because we really haven't seen them go for the standard split default, right? Where the 1-3-1 goes in, and you just try to fight for mid control. You have your Astra over towards A, your Cypher over towards A, Astra over towards B, and kind of just play a bit slower, work the map a bit, see what you can do. Just been very aggressive, very grouped up hits. That has been what was working, but we'll have to see if they can continue that success or if the defense is just too much to deal with as we hop back in to round number 7, and Eli getting very aggressive. Playing inside this smoke here.
Trying to see if any sort of spam will go through. Not the case. That position might go unchecked. Eli's baiting.
But I think with that dark cover coming up, they're a little wary, but Eli, a player known for liking to get aggressive, push through those smokes in unconventional timings, is aware. Finally, the smoke fades, and here comes that re-clear.
Not initially, but the
adjustment.
flick is good. Exactly, and with Soggy Seal as well, finding one. Now a 3-on-3, or 3-on-5 situation for the retirement home.
And with 35 seconds left, they're making a mad dash to this A site. Cokes has worked their way up,
30
but
seconds
is
left.
shut down by Vanitas, and now, I mean, I feel like it has to, right? I mean, May can't even buy into the next round. You have a 2v5. The positioning is known for all of these players. And it was just, again, indecisiveness. There wasn't really anything happening early on in that round, so
Last player standing.
Oh,
I don't know about that one,
Left.
Colby.
it was bold. You know, decisions were made. Rover, now just hope for a save. You got the first, but no more than that. Morgan will take you out, and that is the lead going right back into the hands of Tenax GC.
Yeah, and it was really off the back of Eli being able to push forward, right? Take that timing. That's what you get when you play this Clove. Sure, a lot of the time you typically think of the second controller being something like a Viper, or if you're doing double Dome smokes, it's Astra and Omen. But with the Clove, you can be willing to take some of those risks more frequently because you still have those smokes in case you die. Post-mortem abilities, the only agent with it. Ivory here. Showstopper, but it's just a Rosa.
Yeah, you don't have the opportunity to get into a position to find anyone. And while that's an interesting play from Soggy Seal, it pays off. And now Ivory, 1 versus 4. Oh, it's doable, but only 2 bullets means Eli slides in at the perfect time. And they grab a 5th round.
Listen up, you muckers. If I don't get back up,
What was that? 3 kills with being nearsighted is just... I don't even know how you're doing that. And it's a clutch from Eli. They sat 11-5 on this defense. And really, the linchpin for Tenax GC so far. And that was the big rounds for Cokes' retirement home to win. They invested 3 of those ultimates. Sure, Ivory's already halfway back towards that showstopper, but you're not going to have it for a round or 2 at least. And it's just utter domination. Solo fights being taken, being lost.
Last player standing.
Morgan finding one as well. Means Rover, a 1 versus 5, stinger in hand and nothing else. This feels, dare I say, done. Yeah, Eli, just go ahead, take him out. Flawless round number 9 here. And we're starting to approach what feels like a point of no return. I understand that Split is a defense-sided map, but a 9-3 half
with double duelist is
Yeah.
a bit rough. And right, the defense statistic typically it's a little bit based around this style of composition you're playing. This double duelist comp isn't. right? It is slightly favored towards the attack side when you look at the history, at least of the Viper instead of the Cypher, but just not really able to find a lot of value with the aggression that comes out. It's another just full send it, but Soggy Seal from Vince takes down both of those duelists, so now the entire pump is taken out. There's absolutely no bite behind the bark. So in a disadvantageous situation, the support players have to pick up the pieces here.
And Eli, after dismantling that initial offensive, gets right back into that pushed up position. Prowler does clear though, and Cokes is able to get that kill. Then it's the runaway off the seas. Eli sways down through! Oh, it's a disaster! The retirement home. Now a 1v4. May's getting hard swung. Eli's hungry for a third. Just doesn't feel fair.
The confidence has to be shattered. So the coach comes in to try to quell them just a little bit. I feel like I've mentioned it so often, but this Cokes' retirement team home, it's been back and forth. They have these moments where they look really well coordinated. They look like they have a good idea to play off of each other. Sure, it's a bit more puggy in nature. There's at least ideas in this micro moments, but this has just been, they just full sent it through a smoke, no util to support, not checking the corner of Vince or Mail, and it's just, I don't know, you can't be sending both your duelists in like that with no support. So hopefully these 2 rounds they can get something going, because like you said, if this ends up being a 9-3 half, it just might be too much to come back from. We might be seeing ourselves be sent to that 4th map sooner rather than later.
Yeah, sunset might just be on the horizon.
So outside of the timeout, Colby will have an ult. Ivory very soon to have theirs, but once again, I mentioned it earlier, we haven't really seen a standard approach of how you actually want to play split. I mean, it's in the namesake, right? You want to go for splits. You don't just want to go for all these full aggressive positions. And Vanitas, when aggressive as the Cypher, takes one down. But Coke's quick to trade, and the rifle picked up.
At the very least, get something. Eli here posted on the line. Outlaw not find anyone with the first bullet, but instead with the second takes care of May.
But again, I mean, Eli has played here so frequently. They've been punished for it twice, yet there's no util to come through and clear. The haunt was online, but it's not committed, and it's punished hard.
Now holding the jump spot, doesn't even need it. It's again that second bullet to do the job, and Soggy Seal can mop up and bring an 8th round to Tenax.
Last round before the switch.
I didn't care how you do it. Just spend all your money. Maybe buy a shorty or 2.
Tenax looked to finally crown themselves the victor. And off the back of a lot of the work done by Eli, I mean, 18-6, sitting at a 3.0 KD, literally has double the amount of frags as the top frag for Cokes' retirement home. Like, it's just ridiculous work so far. And in the round number 12, it's just going to be a full hit over towards the A site. You have 2 ultimates. Ivory, once again with that showstopper, needs to find value.
Oh. And does just that. Vanitas won't be a factor in this round outside of the damage they did initially to Ivory. He said 9-3 might be a bit too much, but 8-4 could be just enough. Nightfall goes in. Morgan goes out. Ivory's able to take care of that one, but Cokes immediately gets traded as Stardust goes huge. Colby jumps into the back of the site. And now it's that 3-on-2. May sat in main, waited this whole time, and allowed for Colby to get the swing on a distracted Stardust, meaning Eli would have to clutch up again. A 1v3 would be needed. Swinging in, takes care of Colby. And May's position known, stunned off. There's the swing, but then the gravity well goes through, and May can win on a technicality of time. 8-4. They've denied the 9-3, but is it enough for the retirement home to take split?
Switching sides.
And it wasn't pretty, but it gets the job done. And another 8-4 half for the retirement home. And Jesus, dude, like Eli at 20-6 is just putting up a masterclass. And that's on the defense side. That's not where you're getting to be the one pressing forward, finding the timings on the lurk. It's just off of pure aggression, pure just coincidence and ability to make do of the circumstance. So now with this double duelist comp on this defense,
Do you smell
they need to try to find a bit of success, but it needs to start here on the pistol.
traveling?
Currently only 1 out of 5 being or going their way, excuse me. It would be a huge time to double that.
Bring them down.
Pistol, it's a new opportunity for half to start out strong for the retirement home, but a 1-for-1 trade means the defense is going to be a bit thin. They rotate over towards A. A gap in vent fully exploited, but no kills come off the back of it. Instead, it's going to have to be sharpshooting from Cokes, who sits in the corner. Tucked in. For that fight, Colby's initial contact goes through, but Cokes responds for 2.
Down A. Last
And now a
player
1
standing.
versus 2 as Soggy Seal was able to respond back. It's a third out from the Seal, and it's the curse of these pistols that still continue to benefit Tenax.
And I keep saying it, but when you're losing this many pistols, it's so hard. When you're just playing from behind so consistently. And even with Cokes getting 2 there, it's just not enough. Now every single player for the retirement home is sat at a negative scoreline. Not able to get done a single thing, and the thought of comes through. Colby with the Bucky and Regen armor. Ivory getting a Bucky no armor. And so it's just scraps. It's trying to make anything do.
Look
As
at
we see.
the stack is towards A,
Yeah.
and the play is for B. Oh, Cokes. We saw sharpshooting before, now you've got a Sheriff, and you're going to need to do it again. Anything less than 1 would be criminal, and you immediately fall to Stardust. You have to hope that Colby can respond, but the Bucky just won't find value. Ivory's won't either.
Spike planted.
It feels like a whimper at this point. May, 1v5, forget it. It's flawless, it's all Tenax, and they're 10-4.
Find the weakest link and kick him in the shin.
They had this initial streak of 3 rounds in a row where it looked connected, but since then it's just been domination from Tenax. It's looked so clean. They've been the ones pressing forward, playing as a squad, making sure they trade each other out, fight as a team, go for these double swings. The fundamentals have been there through and through. And so on this defense side now, since they forced up in rounds number 14, Colby has to go for a judge, and just going absolutely walkabouts just gets punished. Of course they do, right? I mean, you go for that jump peek through the smoke. What do you expect? And so instantly sat into a 4v5. We've seen this so many times, and Cokes needs to go huge to try to stabilize this round and keep them in the map.
On my wire.
So much opportunity here. They get the first, a second as well. Just 1 HP remains for the Cypher as they find a third. A judge tucked in elbow. Isn't able to find any opportunities initially. But they have this flank. It's been cooked up. But now it's immediately taken out. And now Soggy Seal. No way you're getting the clutch. It's finally, after such a long time of waiting, a 5th round on the board.
And Cokes, once again, coming in huge for their team. When it's Neeker, able to get 3 on site and just hold it down, allowing the team to rotate back in. Instantly, they swap over the setup towards B and mid. How repeatable is that round? It's hard to feel like you can consistently rely on players just coming up with to bail you out of situations where your players are just sending it forward. It's not the style of play that we have come to know and expect from Cokes' retirement home. And Tenax, they love to take advantage of any unnecessary aggression here. The judge spotted out, the teleport is taken back to safety. But with 5 players grouped up, it's just a death ball for this attack side.
And it's a death ball that's oh so slow. Creeping forward like molasses that's inescapable. Bot taken care of. Colby goes in for a peek in vent. Does get the information, but no kills.
And now
Stardust looking to peek. Ivory tries to delay for just a bit longer, get Cokes into a better position, but Vanitas pincers and splits at the perfect time. And now a 1 versus 4 was on the site initially, and Colby gone. It's now a 2v4 as those other players have rotated in. But May and Rover both smoked off.
And how do you even get back through this? The Yoru rule as well, just in case, to spot out and give information. The Haunt coming back online finally, but just with the Stinger in hand for Rover. I mean, just try to do damage, maybe pick up a gun and save it. But this is heartbreaking, Angel. This is not the team we've come to expect, come to know. But Tenax, they have looked dominant throughout this entire map. It's not their map pick, sure, but they are ever so confident, ever so comfortable here. And they want that trophy. It's in their sights. They do not want to let it go.
I need a drop.
Want to be able to say they deposed the 2-time champ of Cokes.
I need a drop. Thanks.
Cokes on the other side, working with the rest of the retirement home to bring them back on top. Let them go out with a bang. Let them retire as champions.
We'll have to see if they can get anything done as they scrap together. A bit of a buy here, but a fast play to start this one off.
Oh my. Soggy Seal again. Just goes in and gets one, sure. Rover can trade, but it just feels like the wind is gone and out of the sails. Spraying through smoke is perfect, and Colby gets a little bit of chip damage done with the judge. But it's a 4-on-4 retake. His attackers are tucked into the site. Vanitas and Morgan, each with one of their own. Means it's still an uphill battle for the defenses. Now Rover would have to 1v3, and Ace Clutch is just impossible. Forget it. It's match point for Tenax.
Match point.
And yesterday we talked about how Colby, right, it was the operator that came in huge on this defense side. The tour de force and then just being able to cycle it through. They so often leaned into that the double operator setup to lock down some of these sight lines. And especially against a comp like this where, I mean, it's only Stardust Fade that really has util to clear out those ops. We haven't seen it a single time. And so now on match point, Tenax look to repeat the first map.
May was not cleared by that Prowler. Eventually they do decide against pushing in. So B main control, it goes the way of the defense, and with picks kind of ending up in an even stalemate.
So, smoke to block off sight lines for Ivory, let these players work up a little bit, maybe deciding to take a timing through the smoke. But they're not going to expect it. They just don't check behind them.
One enemy remaining.
That's enough with May falling as well to Morgan. It's just Rover, 1v4. Would be an ace clutch last time. Another 1v4 this time.
Spike
Getting sprayed
planted.
down by Soggy Seal. You have to go for it. It's every time it's been clutch time
no
and running
way.
you down. It's a knife.
Jeez.
And just like Ascent, Split falls 13-5.
And that is a rough way to end it, Angel. I mean, the knife in the back, quite literally, to close out the map. Vanitas has 6 first bloods on the Cypher. They had 5 first bloods on the Kale, then 7 first bloods on the Yoru. Sure, okay, you can maybe think about that as far as just like, they're going aggro, they're playing a more aggro agent. It's Cypher, and they're having this many first bloods. You look on the other side, CRH have 4. Last map, they had 8, and they won. This round, they have 4, and they just get dominated. It felt so reminiscent to Ascent, where it was flat. It didn't feel like there was any real cohesive game plan. It just kind of felt like they just got steamrolled again. It doesn't feel like the Coke's retirement home that we know and love.
I mean, listen. We talked about it leaving Haven. We talked about it leaving Ascent, and you have to bring it up again. The 1-2 punch of Colby and Ivory, right? Ivory was the team MVP with a 10 and 17 KD. But that's it, right? The best KD ratio you had was Rover at -2.
And that's not what you want. It's not what you want. I'm just gonna say it.
Nope.
It's not a good look. And so, especially when Eli is putting down numbers like 23 and 9, and then Soggy Seal as well at 19 and 9. This is just firing on all cylinders, taking advantage of every little opportunity that Coke's retirement home is giving them. And when you swap around comps this often, this frequently, sure, it may be a bit more puggy of a style, but Tenax, they are willing to take advantage of that and take it home. So there's still 2 maps to be played, Angel, but it is going to have to be a full turnaround if the Coke's retirement train want to have a chance at reaching the station.
Yep. And as we mentioned, sunset looms over the horizon. It will be that map number 4, what could be the final map of Tenax Series Season 4, coming right at you just after this quick break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone, from that short little break. This is the Tenax series for playoffs, the grand finals, potentially the last map of the night. It's currently sat 2-1, Tenax GC leading over Cokes' retirement home. It was a dominant map number 3 of Split, but now we're headed to Sunset, where it's been, I mean, honestly, it's been a bit of a better showing for Cokes' retirement home, but this is do or die here, Angel. This is their last chance stands, or else Tenax are going to crown themselves the victors, the champions of Tenax Series 4.
Exactly. And when we talk about Sunset as a map, it's a map that we actually haven't seen all that much of here in Season 4. It's been played a couple of times here and there, but overall still remains a bit of a mystery in terms of the depth that both of these teams can go. But of course, we talk about the kind of variety of agents that you'll see on this map. It's one of the more broad categories, right? You'll see teams opt to run chamber. You'll see Yoru ISO be viable. You'll even see some crazy picks, like I've seen like Reyna Neon be a comp that teams have run before on this map. It's really just kind of what you feel most comfortable with, because this map is so malleable, right? Teams can play it in a similar way they do Pearl. Other teams, they treat it like it's Haven. Others, Ascent. It is a map that feels like one of the most strategically diverse in the game. And so we have an opportunity for these teams to kind of lean into those comfort picks.
Yeah, so hopefully we can see them have success in that way. We'll have to hop into Agent Select to see exactly what these teams go for. I know Cokes' retirement home, we got to watch them yesterday. It was that, yes, exactly this, the Breach, Sova, the pretty standard composition. But on the other side, this comp from Tenax, I mean, it is a little wild. That is crazy. The Phoenix, Reyna, Sova, Deadlock, Clove. So really just leaning into the very brawly style here.
Dare I say, I actually kind of like the Tenax comp. Not necessarily because it's going to be the most, like perfect macro setup, beautifully done, well-performed micro executes or anything, but because you're going to have this Deadlock, which is the most underrated Sentinel on this map. You're going to have a Phoenix and a Reyna who are self-capable, but, if Ivory's just going in, slamming down kills, then what else really matters, right? You already get the opening pick. It's going to be that 5v4 retake. You're going to have to hope that Morgan, the secondary duelist here on this Phoenix, is going to be able to find some value if Soggy Seal camp first. He's already gone. Eli and Morgan each with one as well. It means that it's all up to Rover and Cokes. And Rover, you get one, but you need so much more. You need 4 on the round in total to take it home. And I fear for Cokes' retirement home, we know where this ends. It's 5 out of 6 pistols. Or now 6 out of 7.
6 out of 7, yeah. It has been absolutely shambolic on that front to just try to get that going, but especially it's so hard to deal with this aggression, right, coming out from Tenax GC. If you look at the death markers there, they were literally all in link there. Like, not a single player was actually able to get past that choke point. They were just taking the duels, and everyone was taken down. So already, Dexter Morgan halfway to that run it back. Going to be one of those crucial ultimates, crucial pieces of utility to try to enable this success on the attack side. But meanwhile, for the defenders, Cokes' retirement home not going aggressive quite yet, not making any of those aggro A stun slide plays that we were getting to see yesterday. It's just a Bucky and a cross setup.
The util that's being used in towards elbow. The molly's good and Ivory's gone. Rover will be the next to fall. Position spotted, flashed in. Morgan just runs him down with that stinger. It's a beautiful opening gambit to get those first 3 kills on the board, thanks to that further third by Vanitas.
One enemy
At this
remaining.
point, Cokes, a 1v5. Zero, what's your thoughts on round 3?
Flawless.
I don't know. I hope to see, honestly, they get the ultimate orb at the end of the day. So Run It Back will be online. But this, maybe toss... Yeah, they'll swap over these guns, but I need to see something come out from Cokes' retirement home, and I need to see it be a great idea, have it come out, and be, as a team, as a unit, it was what was really kind of faltering them. Yesterday, on this defense side, they didn't necessarily have the best early round strategies to play around and fight for map control. It was a lot of Cokes playing over towards B main by themselves, trying to get info peaks. But here, just has to play back. Sure, you have that shear. It gets popped. The Run It Back taken down instantly. And so the reset will come through. On the other side, look at how pushed up Ivory is.
Oh, and that's a good opener. Ivory then can use that relay bolt, run away.
That's what we want to see. We want to see early aggression come out. 140 done onto Rover. But early aggression, it pays off for this defense side. And that's how you're wanting to play this map, right? You want to have constant rotates, allow your Neon to get set up for success. Be fluid on your calls.
Double swing in, Colby to bait, with a swing to fall. Now it's just Colby alone in the corner, uses the flash, but can't find the kill. It's now a 3-on-3. 3 players out elbow, 3 out A short. May sits in the corner, gets flicked on by Vanitas, and the run out of the smoke does not work for Rover. Cokes, 1 versus 3.
Spike planted.
And look
Stuck
at Vanitas.
Stuck behind the ruse. Gets flanked by Vanitas.
That is not how you want to be starting off. Potentially the last map of the grand finals here in Tenax Series 4. The bonus round converted. And honestly, they started off in a disadvantage, right? Ivory was able to get the initial pick, but it didn't matter. Eli still was able to smoke from the grave, have those post-mortem abilities come online. So another eco rounds. The flash, Arc Rose, instantly broken. Have to wait 40 seconds for that cooldown to come back online. And so again, farming up these orbs early. Vanitas picks up the Annihilation. And already, look at the flank from Colby, but it's just with the Sheriff in hands.
It's gonna get tested. Flank no value found. Instead, it's just another kill added to Soggy Seal's scoreboard. There's another opening little gamble here in the lineup from Rover. It's impressive. You get 2, but you need to find at least 2 more before you could really call this round safe. And yeah, Eli, this Clove sits and waits, buys their time. It just feels like no matter what this retirement home does, nothing's working.
There's always something to trip them up at the ends. This time it's Eli with the backstab. And so now, with rifles back in hands, Ivory picking up an operator pretty early here. We'll have to see if they can really find any success with it. Yesterday on Split, we got to see them use this weapon a whole ton, but now against this double flash comp, it might be difficult, it might be tricky to have that success. The one way to set up, and it's just patience, waiting for it to fade. But the drone to push her off the line.
Take a shallower angle, but waiting, and swings in just a bit too far. Vanitas takes care of Ivory, and Rover's only able to go 1 for 1. Colby now alone. Annihilation used and works perfectly. May only able to trade out 1 for 1 as Colby goes down, and now a 1v3 for this controller.
This would be huge to do. Keep them alive. May has been a power player in previous series, hasn't really gotten to see it so far today.
Still, a crossfire of doom between Morgan and Stardust. We knew the ending result, even if we hoped otherwise. And yeah, this is a timeout that is necessary.
It's 5-0 to start off the attack side. On a very, I mean, if this isn't a puggy comp, then I don't know what is. I mean, this is just play for your comfort, try to go for kills, but it's similar scenes to what we were seeing yesterday on this defense. It's just not how this comp was created to play. You want to be going for either B main aggression early or A main aggression early. And it's not working out. You set up your Neon or your Omen to be able to hold down either B main or A main, jiggle, and then to be able to escape with that teleport. And then have that 1-3-1 setup to maybe fight and reclear towards mid, fight as a team somewhere, flood back in and retake, but it's just not there. So hopefully Coach Mel can come in with some sort of adjustment, some sort of game plan. I know yesterday I think they came back out of that and went for some sort of early B play where they had a fault line and then a paranoia to slide through. And it looks like we might be seeing that. But I mean, if you look at the mini map, there's not a single player even on that half of the map for the side of Tenax.
Yeah. It's now round number 6. The retirement home on another eco. Have yet to find success here on map number 4 of Sunset.
This would be Yeah, this would be a heartbreaking way to go out. And like you said, I mean, Cokes is the only player in this lobby to have seen success, to have seen how it feels just to have that victory. But right now, it just seems so far away, so far out of grasp. As the A site, it's taken with no resistance. And the deadlock, it can set up all of the util to delay just a little bit longer. Some ultimates still in the back pocket for CRH, but it would be a heavy investment.
Oh, hold on, because an overdrive is used. Going in, but blinded up means Eli and Soggy get to just completely dominate. A run it back used means that even though the kills are good from Rover and May, they still have so much more to find. May alone, 3 kills is nice, but still, 6 in a row from Tenax.
And so the set play just doesn't come out on top. There wasn't anyone to receive it. And so we'll have to see if they continue to go for that or what their strategy is here. But again, Ivory picking up this operator needs to find value. Still 2 players, Colby and Cokes, not even on the board yet. 6 rounds in, yet to find success. It needs to happen now.
Oh, sure, 1 good kill, but for an op, it's now unrecoverable, lost and gone forever. You just hope that there won't be another kill out for Eli, that Eli will fall, and that they will. Still, spike planted, Empress now online, up in market. May's able to take them out, but Hunter's Fury by Stardust still locked in towards main. A barrier mesh that needs to get taken care of. There's the stun. There's the swing by Vanitas for 2, and Morgan, 2 of their own. Hunter's Fury, a non-factor at this point.
And it just seems like there's nothing going right for CRH. It's just the post plant's just too strong once it gets set up. The sonic sensors, the wall to delay, the flash to come through as well. It's just futile. And so once again, another eco round. and trying to maybe make something happen here. An early start, aggressive position, but Vanitas
and Eli, the two strongest players throughout this series, just continuing their run of dominance here.
One enemy remaining.
Colby's gone before they even had a chance.
Spike planted.
And now Cokes, yet to post a single frag here in the first 8 rounds of play, trying to change that, still comes up dry. Surely it's not a 13-0, right?
I don't know, man. I'd like to say so, but jeez, it's hard to not feel like nothing is going right. They can't even, I mean, some of these players just can't even get a kill. They go for these aggressive peaks, but it's just shut down by Vanitas, who is single-handedly winning some of these rounds. 14-3. Almost sat at a 5.0 KD. The grab net to try to temporarily hinder any aggression, and May actually in the Petra spot, but it's made note of. Soggy Seal, he's just on top of it. And so now your controller's gone. The paranoia to retake's no longer there.
Colby's utility also goes offline. Ivory's op still has trouble finding value. And now it's just Cokes again. 1 versus 4. Posted up at the top of Boba. Eli jumps in, gets the swing. 9-0 run.
And it feels like we know it, they know it. It feels like the series is already over. And when that thought gets in your minds, you start thinking about what could be, the fact that this was a close series at one point. Sure, maybe not this map, but the entire series, and it's just hard to come back from. Especially when you just don't feel like anything's going your way. So round number 10, here we go. Some ultimates maybe to get themselves off to a good start. Cokes able to get something, but 3 kills instantly going back the way of Tenax.
Your story ends here.
But still, it's all just so difficult. Colby with a flash trying to swing. Eli just runs him down. Double digits in 1 half on what feels like the last map of Series 4.
This is a tragic way to go out, but I mean, on the other side of this, or I mean, right, Tenax coming in, undefeated, not losing a single map. Finally, they fall on Haven, but they're showing that that was just a one-off. That's not their expectations. That's not going to be the norm. They're coming to show that they want their home turf.
They want one. Rover, though, gets caught out by the run it back. May sits and waits with a ghost in hand up at the top of Link, trying to get that kill. Can't find it. And now Cokes, 1 versus 5. Grabs that first onto Eli, but at just 5 HP.
Spike planted.
A jumping in. 11-0. Tenax, they know.
In the half.
Do you think it's possible, Angel? Do you think the
What,
comeback's
like
real?
11-0 comeback?
Yeah, I mean, attack-sided map, right? They
No.
have double duelists. It's just the Sova, so there's nothing really to set them up. I feel like, yeah.
You said
I mean,
attack-sided map.
Yeah.
No.
Throwing net.
It's going to be a very, very difficult road if they want to try and grab this round. And with Colby and Ivory both immediately falling, makes it all that more difficult. 3 versus 5. May continues to try and be a rock for this team. But Cokes now tagged up, taken out by a Hunter's Fury. It would all be from May. The heavy lifting to try and get one round on the board. At least one. Eli runs into the smoke with a shorty.
Spike planted.
Looking to try and find that kill. May can only grab 2 before the round is over. It's a team ace for a 12-0 half
Switching sides.
on map 4 of the grand
Match
finals.
point. Bro, that was good.
And a Sisyphean task lies in front
I'm out of here.
of the retirement home. And Tenax just wants to make sure that that's their final resting place. Don't get to see the end of the tunnel. They want to shut it out here and now. Claim that trophy, claim that title. Be the victors of Series 4. Only dropping a single map through 5 weeks of competition, 2 days of playoffs. And what a statement it would be to finish it out in a 13-0 fashion.
And they want it. The
Whoa.
3K from the hot hands for Morgan.
There's no way.
Off of the deadlock utility. It could be an ace to close it out. No, May will deny it, but the end result was unavoidable. 13-0 for the first time. Tenax has won the Tenax series.
And God Almighty, just utter shutdown on the last map, 13-0, in just a completely unexpected fashion. I came into this series expecting a bit of back and forth. We got it on Haven, but the other 3 maps, it was just a wash. Tenax showing their domination, and my God, when they're winning pistols like that, what was it, 7-1? What do you do? What do you do when Vanitas comes in and just runs you down?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's much to talk about in these stats. Vanitas
feel like
477 ACS, that might be the highest ACS I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So someone screenshot that. I don't know if there's been a higher ACS recorded before. Someone can check VLR for that. But
Maybe.
I mean, my God.
Yeah, and it's a bit, sure, it's a bit disappointing to Cokes' retirement home to close this one out, but commiserations to them overall. They had a good run towards the end here. Looked good for them. Sure, this series fell flat just a little bit towards the end. They couldn't just jump over that final hurdle, maybe, but they had a good try. You know, they gave it the good college try, but meanwhile, Tenax, they came out on top. They came into the playoffs as favorites, and they showed why in this series. It was just domination through and through yesterday and today. And my God, are these players looking forward? They have to be happy with their performance after today.
Oh yeah, and also let's talk about the elephant in the room. Tenax GC just won Tenax series, only dropping one map the entire season. And that was the map they dropped today against Cokes' retirement home. 13-9. It wasn't even like a blowout. It was a close map. And that's the only map they dropped the entire season.
Which is just ridiculous. I mean, I feel like that just goes to show how consistent they've been. Their performance throughout has been just so wonderful. Even today with the sub coming in, their performance doesn't really hinder. And so looking forward, I mean, they have to be favorites to continue. I'm not sure what they're planning in the future, if they look to stick together, if they're going to pug it out, maybe split apart, get what it looks like. But I feel like all of these players have very good futures. I mean, they have to be feeling happy about this one, confident off of this victory, because my God, man.
Yeah. But you know what? As we mentioned, Season 4 has come to an end. Zero, I want to thank you for being with me week in, week out, being a rock in moments. I also want to give a huge shout out to our observer, Yafa, who's getting you guys all the action in the game our producer Multitudes, who's helping get all of the action. You could see our faces, hear our voices out of the game. Shout outs to both of them because, hey, without any of us, this stream wouldn't be possible. And that's just not right. I also, real quick, need to shout out our sponsor, Cracked Media. Once again, they are the reason that this entire season could even happen. Make sure to check out their podcast, the XP Share podcast, for more updates on what's to come from Cracked Media. Also, in case you are curious about Tenax's other exploits and you want to see some other Tenax branded teams winning, Tenax does ESEA streams for the Tenax CS2 squad. So make sure that you follow this channel right here so you can catch them going live for that. Zero, once again, it's been a lovely season, and I'm sure we'll be back in the future. But thank you all, the viewers, so much for watching and sticking with us throughout all these weeks. Congrats again to Tenax GC for their well-deserved win here in the Grand Finals, and we'll see you all in the not-so-distant future.